Let me ask you something. Most people over 60 never realize the moment their strength begins slipping away. It's quiet. It's subtle. It doesn't feel dramatic at first. But sometimes, one moment changes everything. When was the last time you stood up from a chair, and didn't have to think about it? When was the last time you walked down the stairs and didn't grip the railing just a little tighter than you used to? When was the last time you moved through your day and your knees, your hips, your lower back just cooperated? If that's starting to feel like a distant memory, you are not alone. Millions of people over 60 are quietly losing the very thing that makes life feel free, the ability to move without fear. Not because they're lazy. Not because they gave up. But because somewhere along the way, they were given the wrong tools. And one of those wrong tools is the squat. Now before you click away, hear me out. I'm not here to tear down exercise. I'm here to save your knees, protect your spine, and give you something better. Something science actually recommends for adults over 60. Something that builds real-world strength, the kind that keeps you independent, mobile, and powerful well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Because here's what most fitness channels won't tell you. The traditional squat was designed for young, competitive athletes. Not for people navigating age-related changes in cartilage, joint spacing, and spinal curvature. And yet, it's the exercise most trainers still prescribe to seniors. No modifications. No alternatives. Just, squat more. What if I told you there are 4 specific exercises, backed by orthopedic science and longevity research, that build more functional strength, protect your joints, and dramatically reduce your fall risk, better than squats ever could? Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with a complete picture of what your body actually needs after 60, and why the old advice may have been holding you back this whole time. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you still do squats? Or has something stopped you? I read every single one. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body, because understanding this is what's going to change everything. By the time we reach our 60s, a set of biological realities have quietly taken root. None of them are your fault. All of them are manageable. But only if you know what you're dealing with. The first reality, sarcopenia. After age 30, we begin losing muscle mass at roughly 3 to 5% per decade. After 60, that rate accelerates. The medical term is sarcopenia, the progressive, age-related loss of skeletal muscle. Think about that for a moment. Not just weakness, but structural loss. The kind of loss that changes how you walk, how you balance, how you recover from a stumble. Left unchecked, sarcopenia is one of the leading drivers of disability, nursing home admissions, and loss of independence in older adults. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that adults with severe muscle loss were nearly 3 times more likely to suffer a disabling fall within 5 years. 3 times more likely. And the cruel irony? The exercises most recommended to combat sarcopenia, heavy squats, high-rep leg press, deep knee bends, are also among the most likely to injure an older adult who attempts them without a specific, age-adapted approach. The second reality, joint architecture changes. Here's something they should teach in every senior fitness class, and almost never do. The way your joints absorb force changes dramatically with age. The cartilage in your knees, the soft, cushioning tissue that allows for smooth, pain-free movement, thins over time. The synovial fluid that lubricates your hips and ankles decreases. Your tendons become slightly less elastic, your ligaments less forgiving. None of this means you're broken. None of this means you can't be strong. It simply means the mechanical demands you place on your joints need to be recalibrated. A deep squat, performed with full body weight or added load, compresses the knee joint at an angle that can reach forces of 4 to 7 times your body weight at the bottom of the movement. For a young athlete with thick, healthy cartilage, that's manageable. For an adult over 60 with normal age-related joint changes, That's a recipe for inflammation, pain, and long-term damage. The third reality, what your body actually needs. Here's where hope enters the picture. Because this isn't a story about decline. It's a story about recalibration. What the research consistently shows, from institutions like the Mayo Clinic, the National Institute on Aging, and Harvard Medical School, is that adults over 60 don't need more intensity. They need more precision. They need exercises that train the specific movement patterns of real life. Getting up from a chair. Catching yourself before a fall. Carrying groceries. Climbing stairs. Reaching, turning, stepping. These are not gym movements. They are life movements. And the exercises that train them are not the ones most fitness programs focus on. Which brings us to the 4 exercises at the heart of this video. Each one has been selected based on 3 criteria. First, it directly trains a real-world functional movement pattern. Second, it places minimal compressive stress on aging joints while maximizing muscular activation. Third, it has been specifically studied in populations over 60, with documented improvements in strength, balance, and fall prevention. We're going to count down from number 4 to number 1. And yes, I'm going to make you wait for number 1. Because it might be the most important piece of health information you hear all year. But before we get there, I want to tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 67 years old. She lives in Ohio, loves her garden, and adores her 2 grandchildren. She also spent 3 years quietly afraid. Afraid of the stairs in her house. Afraid of icy sidewalks. Afraid of the moment she knew was coming, the fall she'd been dreading since her neighbor broke her hip last winter. Margaret had been told to do squats. Her doctor mentioned it. Her daughter Googled it. Every YouTube video she found started the same way: squat more, get stronger. But every time she tried, her knees throbbed for 2 days afterward. She started to believe the problem was her. That she was too far gone. That strength, for her, was a door that had quietly closed. It hadn't. Margaret's story is not unique. It's the story I hear over and over. And it's why this video exists. Because nobody told Margaret that the door wasn't closed, she just needed a different key. Let's find that key together. Exercise number 4, the step up. We start our countdown with an exercise that looks almost embarrassingly simple. Until you understand what it's actually doing. The step up. 1 foot. 1 step. 1 powerful, life-changing movement pattern. What it is. The step up is exactly what it sounds like, placing 1 foot on an elevated surface and driving your body upward using the strength of that single leg. You can use a stair, a low box, a sturdy step stool. The height ranges from 6 to 12 inches, depending on your current fitness level. Why it belongs here instead of the squat. Here's the key difference, and it's a big one. A squat is a bilateral movement. Both legs working simultaneously. Symmetrical. Balanced. Clean in theory. But in real life, almost nothing you do is bilateral. You don't step off a curb with both feet at once. You don't climb stairs 2 legs at a time. You don't catch yourself from a trip by pushing off with both feet simultaneously. Life is unilateral. 1 step at a time. 1 leg bearing the load while the other transitions. And if your unilateral leg strength is weak, which it almost certainly is, because it almost always is in adults who only train bilateral movements, then your real-world stability is a house of cards. The step-up trains that exact pattern. 1 leg. Full load. Real-world mechanics. The science. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy followed adults aged 63 to 78 through a 12-week unilateral lower limb training program. Participants who performed step-ups 3 times per week showed a 31% improvement in single-leg balance performance and a 28% reduction in self-reported fear of falling, without any knee pain exacerbation. That last part matters enormously. Without knee pain exacerbation. Because that's the wall most seniors hit. The exercise that should make them stronger instead sidelines them for a week. The step up, performed correctly, avoids that wall entirely. How to perform it safely. Stand facing your step. Place your right foot flat on the surface, the entire foot, not just the toes. Keep your spine tall. Breathe in. Then, as you exhale, press through the heel of that right foot and drive yourself upward. Stand fully on the step. Bring your left foot up. Then step down slowly, control the descent, don't drop. That slow return is where a significant portion of the strength benefit lives. Start with 8 to 10 repetitions per leg. Rest. Repeat. 3 sets, 2 to 3 times per week. That's it. As you grow stronger, you can hold light dumbbells, 5 pounds, then 8, then 10. You can increase step height. You can slow the tempo further, turning a simple step up into a deeply challenging stability exercise. The emotional layer. There's something else the step up does, something you won't find in any research paper. It restores confidence. Because every time you perform it, you are practicing the exact movement that terrifies so many older adults. The stair. The curb. The moment one leg has to carry everything. And when you practice it with control, when you feel your body respond with strength instead of trembling, something shifts. The fear loosens. The world feels slightly less threatening. Margaret started with a 6-inch kitchen step. She held the counter for the first 2 weeks. By week 6, she was stepping up onto a 12-inch garden box in her backyard, arms free, spine straight, smiling. She told her daughter, "I forgot what it felt like to trust my legs." That's what exercise number 4 can give you. Now let's move to number 3, and this one involves something most people over 60 have been completely neglecting. Something so fundamental that skipping it may be the single biggest mistake in senior fitness today. Exercise number 3, the glute bridge. If I could wave a magic wand and make every adult over 60 do one exercise they're probably not doing right now, it would be this one. The glute bridge. Floor-based, low-impact, zero spinal compression. And absolutely transformative for anyone who has ever experienced lower back pain, hip stiffness, or difficulty standing for long periods. What it is. You lie on your back. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. Arms relaxed at your sides. Then, using the power of your glutes, your hamstrings, and your core, you lift your hips toward the ceiling, hold briefly at the top, and slowly lower back down. That's the movement. Simple. Quiet. Profound. Why your glutes are the key to everything after 60. The gluteus maximus, your largest glute muscle, is the primary engine of human upright locomotion. It powers you out of a chair. It stabilizes your pelvis when you walk. It protects your lower back from compensatory strain. It generates the force that keeps your stride long and confident rather than short and shuffling. And in the vast majority of adults over 60, it is severely underactivated. This isn't age. This is sitting. Every hour you spend seated, your hip flexors tighten and your glutes learn to go quiet. Over years, over decades of desk jobs, car commutes, and television evenings, the neurological connection between your brain and your glutes weakens. Physical therapists call it gluteal amnesia. Your glutes don't fire properly even when you ask them to. Other muscles compensate, your lower back, your IT band, your knees, and they suffer for it. Lower back pain. Hip impingement. Knee tracking problems. Plantar fasciitis. A staggering percentage of these complaints in older adults trace back, at least in part, to glutes that have gone to sleep. The science. A remarkable study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that a targeted glute activation program, centered primarily on the glute bridge, reduced chronic lower back pain in adults over 60 by an average of 43% over 8 weeks. Not surgery. Not medication. Not injections. 8 weeks of floor bridges. A second study, conducted by the National Strength and Conditioning Association, found that adults who incorporated glute bridges into their weekly routine showed measurable improvements in walking speed, stride length, and stair climbing ability within 6 weeks. Walking faster. Climbing stairs more easily. From lying on the floor and lifting your hips. How to perform it. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat, about hip-width apart. Place your arms alongside your body. Before you lift, engage your core. Imagine gently drawing your navel toward your spine. Then, pressing through your heels, squeeze your glutes and lift your hips until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Hold for 2 to 3 seconds at the top. Feel that squeeze. That burning sensation in your glutes is not damage, it's activation. It's your sleeping muscle waking up. Then lower slowly. Take 3 to 4 seconds to come down. Control the descent. Repeat for 10 to 15 repetitions. Rest. 3 sets. As you get stronger, you can progress by elevating your feet on a low surface, adding a resistance band around your thighs, or moving to a single-leg variation, the single-leg glute bridge, which adds balance challenge and unilateral strength demand. A word about pain. Some people feel a gentle sensation in the lower back when first starting glute bridges. This is almost always a sign of those compensating muscles adjusting as the glutes begin to take over the load properly. It typically resolves within a week or 2. However, if you experience sharp, shooting, or nerve-like pain at any time, stop and consult your physician or physical therapist. This video is educational. Your body is individual. Always honor that. The story behind the exercise. Robert is 71. He spent 4 decades working construction, on his feet, lifting heavy, moving constantly. He retired at 65 and, within 2 years, developed what he described as a dull, grinding ache in his lower back that never fully went away. His doctor ruled out structural damage. The diagnosis was functional, muscle imbalance. His glutes, after a lifetime of hard work, had finally gone quiet. His physical therapist gave him one starting exercise. The glute bridge. Robert thought it was too easy. "This can't do anything," he told her. "I built houses. This feels like nothing." By week 3, he was sleeping through the night for the first time in 2 years. Sometimes the quiet exercises hold the loudest answers. We've covered exercises 4 and 3. We're building toward something. The next 2 exercises are where the research gets genuinely extraordinary. Exercise number 2, in particular, involves a benefit so surprising, so counterintuitive, that I want you to hear it in full before you form an opinion. Let's keep going. Exercise number 2, the wall sit. Before I explain why the wall sit belongs at number 2 on this list, I want to say something that might surprise you. I know what you might be thinking. Wall sits are for basketball players. Wall sits are for athletes training their legs under load. What does a wall sit have to do with an older adult who just wants to walk to the mailbox without their knees aching? Everything. The wall sit has to do with everything. What it is. The wall sit is an isometric exercise, meaning the muscles are working under load without changing length. You place your back flat against a wall, walk your feet forward until your thighs are roughly parallel to the floor, and hold that position. Your knees are bent. Your back is pressed to the wall. You are essentially sitting in an invisible chair. You hold that position for time, starting with 10 to 20 seconds, and build from there. Why isometric exercises are a secret weapon for adults over 60. Here is something most fitness content does not tell you. Isometric muscle contractions, the kind you perform in a wall sit, are among the safest and most effective forms of strength training for aging joints. Why? Because the joint is stationary. No compression at the end ranges of motion. No grinding of bone surfaces. No demand on arthritic cartilage. The muscle bears the load. The joint is protected. This is particularly significant for the knee joint. In a traditional squat, peak knee joint stress occurs at approximately 90 degrees of flexion, right at the bottom of the movement. In a wall sit held at 90 degrees, the joint stress is distributed quite differently because there is no dynamic force, no acceleration, no deceleration. The quadriceps contract isometrically, building dense, functional strength without the compressive spike. For someone with mild to moderate knee osteoarthritis, which affects an estimated 30% of adults over 60 in the United States, this difference is not trivial. It can mean the difference between a strength training practice that is sustainable for years, and one that flares symptoms and forces weeks of recovery. The science, including one finding that changes everything. Let me share two studies with you. The first, a 2020 trial published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology, found that 12 weeks of isometric lower body training, including wall sits, produced strength gains in adults over 65 that were comparable to traditional resistance training, with significantly lower rates of joint pain and exercise dropout. Comparable gains. Lower pain. Fewer people quitting. The second study, and this is the one I mentioned, was published in the journal Hypertension in 2023. Researchers at Canterbury Christ Church University in England conducted the most comprehensive analysis of exercise and blood pressure ever assembled. They reviewed 270 randomized controlled trials involving nearly 16,000 participants. Their conclusion was stunning. Isometric exercises, specifically wall sits, produced the single largest reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure of any exercise type studied. Greater than cardio. Greater than resistance training. Greater than HIIT. A wall sit, the simple act of holding your body weight against a wall, may be the most powerful blood pressure intervention available through exercise. In adults over 60, where elevated blood pressure is one of the leading drivers of stroke, heart disease, and cognitive decline, this is not a small finding. This is life-altering information. The researchers suggested the mechanism is related to the temporary restriction of blood flow during isometric contraction, followed by a powerful reactive dilation of blood vessels upon release, a training effect that, over time, improves vascular flexibility and lowers resting blood pressure. Your invisible chair may be protecting your heart. How to perform it? Find a smooth wall. Stand with your back against it. Walk your feet forward, roughly 2 feet from the wall, and slide down until your thighs are close to parallel with the floor. Your knees should be directly above your ankles, not tracking forward over your toes. Your back is flat. Your core is engaged. Your arms can rest on your thighs or hang by your sides. Hold the position. Breathe steadily. Do not hold your breath. Start with 10 to 15 seconds if you are a beginner. Build toward 30 seconds, then 45, then 60. 3 sets, with 60 seconds of rest between sets, 2 to 3 times per week. If the 90-degree position causes any sharp knee pain, raise your position slightly, less bend in the knee, less joint stress. Meet your body where it is. Progress comes. The character behind exercise number 2. Dorothy is 74 and was told 8 months ago that she had stage 1 hypertension. Her doctor recommended lifestyle changes before medication. She was committed, but overwhelmed. She didn't know where to start. The gym felt intimidating. Running was out of the question. A family friend sent her a research summary about isometric exercise and blood pressure. She started with 10-second wall sits in her kitchen while her coffee brewed. She did them every morning. 3 sets. Slow build over 12 weeks. At her next appointment, her blood pressure had dropped from 138/89 to 121/78. Her doctor asked what she had changed. She said, "I hold myself against the wall every morning." He looked at her chart again. Then he said, "Keep doing whatever that is. Now. The moment you've been waiting for. Exercise number 1. This is the exercise most physical therapists consider the single greatest predictor of longevity and independent living in older adults. This is the movement that, when it declines, signals a cascade of health risks that can change the entire arc of aging. And this is the exercise that almost nobody is prescribing, and almost nobody is doing. Stay with me. We are almost there. Exercise number 1, the chair stand, sit to stand. Here it is. Not a gym machine. Not a barbell. Not a complicated movement pattern requiring a personal trainer. A chair. Your body weight. And the most fundamental human movement of the second half of life. The sit to stand. What it is. You sit in a chair. You stand up. You sit back down. Slowly. Deliberately. With complete control. No arms. No momentum. Just your legs, your core, and your intention. That's it. That is exercise number 1. And before you feel disappointed, I want to show you why this movement carries more predictive power about your future health than almost any other physical test in existence. The science of sitting and standing. In 2012, a landmark study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology created shockwaves in the medical community. Brazilian physician Claudio Gil Araújo developed what became known as the sitting-rising test, a simple assessment in which adults were asked to sit on the floor and stand back up without using their hands, knees, or forearms for support. The study followed 2002 adults aged 51 to 80 for an average of 6 years. The results were breathtaking. Adults who scored in the lowest range on this sit-to-stand test were 5 to 6 times more likely to die during the follow-up period than those who scored in the highest range. 5 to 6 times. From standing up and sitting down. The reason? The sit-to-stand movement is a composite physical assessment. It reveals your muscular strength, your balance, your flexibility, your neuromuscular coordination, your bone density, your cardiovascular fitness. In a single, simple act, it tells the story of your entire physical infrastructure. When that movement becomes difficult, when it requires a hand on the armrest, a rocking momentum to generate enough force, a pause, and a grunt at the top, it is your body sending a signal. Not a death sentence. A message. And like all messages, it can be answered. Why this beats the squat. The chair stand trains the exact same primary muscle groups as a squat: quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, core. But with one crucial advantage, it trains them in a functional context. You are not squatting for its own sake. You are practicing the act of independent living. Every time you rise from a chair without using your hands, you are rehearsing the movement that will keep you out of a nursing home. You are practicing the act of getting yourself off the floor if you fall. You are reinforcing the neuromuscular pathways that make balance automatic rather than conscious. And when performed slowly, sitting down with a full 3 to 4 second controlled descent, the eccentric demand on the quadriceps is extraordinary. Research consistently shows that eccentric muscle training produces superior strength gains compared to concentric training alone. The slow sit-down is not the easy part. The slow sit-down is where the magic happens. The 30-second chair stand test. Before you begin training, I want you to know your baseline. Here is the standard clinical assessment used by geriatric specialists worldwide. Set a timer for 30 seconds. Sit in an armless chair with your arms crossed over your chest. Stand fully upright, then sit back down. Count how many complete stands you can perform in 30 seconds, without using your arms. For women ages 60 to 64, the average is 12 to 17 repetitions. For men in the same age range, it is 14 to 19. These numbers decrease slightly with each decade. Whatever your number is right now, that is your starting point. Not a verdict. A beginning. How to train it. 3 times per week. Start with a chair at standard seat height, about 17 to 18 inches. Sit all the way back. Cross your arms over your chest or hold them straight in front of you. Lean slightly forward from the hips, not the lower back, and drive upward through your heels. Stand tall. Then slowly lower yourself back down. Take 3 full seconds to descend. Touch the seat lightly. Rise immediately. Perform 10 repetitions. Rest 60 seconds. Repeat for 3 sets. As you get stronger, lower the chair height. Lower chairs require more knee and hip range of motion and dramatically increase the strength demand. Going from a 17-inch chair to a 14-inch chair can make the movement feel almost entirely new. Eventually, if you want the greatest challenge, you can practice the floor to stand transition with support. Getting yourself from the ground to upright. This is the most fundamental and most neglected functional skill in senior fitness. And it is trainable. The human story. I want to come back to Margaret. Remember her, the woman who was afraid of her own stairs, who tried squats and was left with throbbing knees for 2 days, who had started to believe the door to strength had closed for her? Margaret's physical therapist gave her a program built around the 4 exercises in this video. She started with step-ups using the kitchen counter for support. She added glute bridges in the morning before getting dressed. She began doing brief wall sits while the kettle boiled. And she started practicing chair stands, slow, deliberate, arms across her chest, 10 repetitions, 3 times a day. At the end of 12 weeks, Margaret retook the 30-second chair stand test. Her first test score had been 8 repetitions. A number that put her well below the functional threshold for her age group. Her 12-week score was 16. She had doubled her functional strength. Without squats. Without a gym. Without pain. And on a Tuesday morning in November, she walked down the stairs in her house, both hands free, without gripping the railing once. She stood at the bottom and cried. Not because it was hard. Because it wasn't. Closing, the door is still open. Let me bring this full circle. We started today by asking a simple question: when was the last time your body just cooperated? When was the last time you moved without fear? The answer is not behind you. It is in front of you. Accessible through 4 simple, science-backed, joint-protecting movements that you can begin practicing this week, in your own home, with nothing but a chair and a wall. Exercise number 4, the step-up, trains the unilateral strength and confidence your real world demands. Exercise number 3, the glute bridge, reawakens the engine of your lower body and quiets decades of back pain. Exercise number 2, the wall sit, builds deep knee strength and, according to the most comprehensive blood pressure research in history, may be the most powerful cardiovascular intervention available through exercise. And exercise number 1, the chair stand, trains the most fundamental, most predictive, most life-affirming movement of the second half of life. The act of standing up, on your own, under your own power, as many times as you need to. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. Your body has a remarkable, documented, scientifically proven capacity to rebuild strength, regain balance, and reclaim mobility, at any age. The research is unambiguous on this. Neuroplasticity, muscle protein synthesis, cardiovascular adaptation, none of these processes switch off at 60. They slow down. They require smarter inputs. They ask for exercises designed for the body you have now, not the body you had at 30. And now you have those exercises. Here is your challenge for this week. Pick one of the 4 exercises from today's video. Just one. Commit to doing it 3 times before the week is over. That's all. Not a revolution. A beginning. Because every transformation I've ever seen in adults over 60 started with one exercise, performed one time, on a day when they finally decided to believe that something could change. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 4 exercises are you going to try first? And if you're already doing one of them, tell me how it's changed things for you. I read every comment. Every single one. Because this community, people who refuse to accept that strength has an expiration date, is the most extraordinary community I have ever been a part of. If this video gave you something, a new idea, a moment of hope, a reason to stand up from your chair right now and try 10 repetitions, please share it with someone who needs it. A friend. A parent. A neighbor. Someone who has been quietly afraid and doesn't know that the door is still open. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell. Because every week we go deeper into the science of aging powerfully, and you deserve to have this information in your life. I'll see you in the next video. You have more strength than you know. And it's waiting for you to ask for it.